You didn't know what you would find when you dropped into the cave, and yet here you are. You were lucky to not land directly in the campfire that had been erected in the centre of this area. You land just adjacent to it, and close enough to make sparks fly and some burning fungus roll out from the hearth. The individuals sat or standing around it are of course surprised when you fall in. They each go for their weapons until they realise that they've been accompanied by humanoids, your good selves. Still, hands remain close to weapon handles. Your eyes adjust to the light in this place. There isn't just fire, of course, creating a noxious smoke that struggles to clear this cave, making everything thick with heat haze and your eyes water. There is also glowing from the walls around you, the thick veins and seams of minerals in this particular stratum. You can see around you, based on sigils, on ethnicities, on cultures on display, you can definitely see that there's a hobgob from Mudtown here. The symbol of Mudtown is clad proudly on this fey creature's chest. Likewise, based on the trophies adorned by one of these individuals' skulls cladding their shoulders, their head, bones rattling around their body. This must be an Aprician, one of the indigenous communities of the world below. And then, thick with beard stretching as low as the ground, and shielded with it is a Darv, a stout fellow, almost as wide as he is tall, clad in a hood that allows you to barely see his face, just the long white beard, which is streaked with iron ore. It's the Darv that speaks up.
Now who might you be that drops in while we enjoy our feast?
You can see that there was some meat of unidentifiable nature rotating above the fire before the spit fell over. Now it's being charred directly on the fungus. The hobgob rushes over and pulls it out, blowing on it, hesitating to stamp on it and ruin the protein entirely.
Speak then. Who are you?
I'm Kiva. Hi. And I give a tiny, tiny little wave as I'm trying to hide this very giant chaos rock in my hands.
Sister Makiru, a voice from the edge of the cavern, an individual you hadn't seen until now, steps forward, arms outstretched. Another rat person. This one entirely coated in fur, more rat than humanoid, but certainly bearing all the scale of a humanoid. Seems to greet you with some warmth.
Oh, hi, hello. Hi, hello.
Step back. We don't know that these are to be trusted. They could be here to rob us. They could be representing anyone. From which settlement do you hail?
Well, now I'm from Mudtown, as I can see one of yours is, and you know how Mudtown is. You don't steal from people from Mudtown if you're from Mudtown. It's very rude.
That is true, says the hobgob. But I don't recognise you.
Oh?
You could have stolen that crest off of anybody.
Well, that is true, but if I was anybody, would I be here on behalf of the Union of Cartographers and Stratigraphers?
The Union? You're a Unioner, are you?
I am. Pleasure, hello, luck! And I reach out to shake the hobgoblin's hand.
The hobgob reaches out in turn, though more tentatively. Pox.
Oh, Pox. Now that is a pretty name, if I don't say so myself.
Thank you.
So you're all from Mudtown, are you?
No, actually, technically, I'm from Telver's Hearth. But Mudtown, lovely place, Mudtown.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
As am I say as I step forth as well. Yes, we are traveling from Telver's Hearth, and we are looking for something, and I look to the others.
Zions speaks up, but nothing that we need to share.
Indeed. We're just passing through, and we don't mean any trouble.
Well, you might have ruined our meal, is the problem.
Yeah, well, for that I do apologise, but I'm sure we have some spare, something that we could all share. Have a little campfire, liaison, a little dance, maybe a drink.
The Darv looks over to the Aprician, who does have a drum on her back.
Do you want to play us a song, Cherryina?
No, not really.
Well, there you have it. Unless one of you is a musician, you'll be dancing to silence.
Well, it's not the first time, but no, unfortunately I am not a performer of that caliber. Never mind, well, what are you guys doing down here?
Exploring. It's said that there is a tomb somewhere in these parts, filled with treasures that the people of Aracasta would like to see returned.
Ooh, you don't say. Are you all, friends? Travelling companions? That sort of thing?
Well, we all come from different places, but we are all in service to the settlement of Aracasta and Prince Norris of the Meridia lineage.
Do I know anything about this settlement and these folks that are now mentioned?
Could you make a culture and intellect roll, please, Matthias? No complications on this one.
That is 3.
Aracasta is a settlement at the end of the Ferris Road. If you were to head directly down from Mudtown, I say directly, if you were to head from Mudtown to Telver's Hearth to Glowstream, which is said to no longer exist, all the way to Aracasta, you'll be following the Ferris Road. It is one of the few ostensibly safe routes. It isn't a straight line. This isn't a Roman road that cuts straight through the world below. There are drops, there are squeezes, and there are, of course, branching tunnels. But it is a place that seems to avoid most of the labyrinthine shifts that come with the calm season when chaos racks the world. So Aracasta tends to be seen as terminus. It is pretty damn close to the abyss. Not hugely far from the well when relative to where you are now. And all that said, it does mean that this party has ascended to find this place. The people of Aracasta are known for... well, they're known for their gaiety, their party spirit. It's a strange thing how close to the abyss they are, but at least according to the people of Telver's Hearth, where you're from, Aracastans dance like there is no tomorrow, perhaps because a lot of them feel like there isn't one. The negative assumption is that the abyss is draining all hope from them, and so they're just driven to desperate acts of celebration. Drunkenness, revels, all kinds of excess is practiced in Aracasta. The monarch of the settlement, currently Prince Norris, is always the primary recipient of the abyssal drain. It's a blessing and a curse to be crowned in Aracasta, because yes, you get to rule, but you are ruling a settlement at the edge of the earth, and you become the prime target for the abyss's draining qualities.
Interesting. Well, if there should be anything that we can do to aid you on your journey, then we would be happy to lend you our aid. seeing as how we have met here, perhaps there might even be something that you can do to help us.
Hmm. The dove sits back down, takes the meat away from Pox, and starts cutting it into strips. The Makaru alchemist, who greeted Kiva so happily, does a twirl. I am dancing to the doom. That is my name. Don't worry about York. He is a grim sort, sullen, not from Oracaster, although he does serve the prince. I, however, am from the Abyssal Settlement, and only too happy to meet another of my kin. Tell me, what family are you of, Kiva?
The Blacklegs?
Ah, the Blacklegs! You notice Dancing to the Doom very rarely blinks. She has a fixed stare that is really quite unsettling. But then again, as a Chaosist yourself, you know unsettling and can practice it pretty damn well. The Blacklegs, I am, well, I suppose, nominally of the Slytherin family, but I largely drop the family epithet. Dancing to the Doom is my name, my title, my deed. It is what I do. It's a shame Cherina is not interested in playing her drum for us, although I have to say I'm interested in speaking with you more than dancing with you right now. Please come, sit. Kiva Blackleg.
I kind of look at the other two, realizing that it would be very, very rude to say no, and I very, very hesitantly walk over and join Dancing to the Doom.
Zions mutters something about this being a colossal waste of time, while then walking over to Trillin and saying, but that said, I need to get my bearings. Maybe some time spent in a safe cave is the best thing for us right now.
Agreed. See what you can find out.
So, Kiva, why don't you tell me about some of the things you've encountered? I see you're in possession of quite a hunk of chaos.
I reflexively kind of pull it to my chest, because obviously it's mine. But you know, I'm talking to another Makiru, so I will relax just a little bit and say yes. This is, well, unfortunately, you know, this is what caused us to so rudely find ourselves here. I managed to pull it out of the wall, and then there were bugs, and I don't like bugs. They're creepy and they're crawly and they're gross, and I don't really like them. But yes, no. You know, we found some Farundan cultists, and we found some very, very, very friendly fungi. And
I have never encountered one of the Furundina.
Oh, they were well, we encountered quite a few of them. They were an interesting sort.
She nods.
Yes. I don't know what ended up happening to them. We managed to get free because I'm not going to lie. They weren't the nicest people. They did have us. Okay. When I say meet, I guess they captured us actually. And we were held captive, and we managed to escape. They weren't nice. I wouldn't recommend it. Meeting them generally.
My dear cousin, I am so sorry to hear that. I truly am. I'm sure you just caught them on an off day.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, of course, right? That's got to be it. They're definitely probably not homicidal. Generally, I'm sure it was just a weird time.
Well, I like to see everything through optimistic eyes until someone disappoints me.
Sure, I've just been disappointed by many, I suppose. Maybe that's what it is.
But now you have your Chaos Rock.
Yes, I do, and I will kind of like pet it a little bit. I don't want my pet rock to get jealous, but you know, I do have to show the Chaos Rock some love, so give it a couple nice, pretty little strokes.
She looks at it and to you and back to it and back to you. How far away did you find that?
And I'll point up through the fissure that we dropped down. Just right up there.
Just up there. Do you think there could be other ores and minerals up there?
Oh God, yes. There were a lot of rocks and stones and things up there, and I look over my shoulder towards Luck, and I think Luck found some stuff as well. There was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot. Mm-hmm.
I've taken a moment to find a little rock to sit on and chip away at my stony teeth with a dagger as I say, oh yeah, no, lots of things in there. Although there are also lots of bugs. So if you do want to go that way, I would watch out for the bugs, possibly carnivorous. You never know, do you?
No, you don't, Pox shakes his head. Well, there's one thing I have found, says Dancing to the Doom, looking at both of you. Somehow simultaneously, her eyes swivel to allow it. Climbing up is always a lot harder than descending. It's said that true pilgrimage takes us to the well, but it seems the well lures us while the skyward travel only wants to defy us. But if climbing up is what will lead us to the treasure we seek, then I suppose climbing up is what we must do.
Well, I wish you good luck with that then.
Mm-hmm. And again, just so many bugs. Just be careful of the bugs.
Oh, I have an affinity for bugs. They call me a scarab. It's my dialectic, you see. I think I would be able to speak with the bugs, probably calm them down, and if I cannot, Cherina over there, pointing at the trophy-clad huntress, well, Cherina has her own ways with little insects.
Oh, well then I'm sure you'll be fine. Because there were quite a lot of bugs, but maybe they could be helpful in retrieving some of the stuff, because they mostly appeared when we pulled stuff from the walls, so maybe you would be able to get their help in getting stuff from the walls.
York, the Darwin silhouette, has finished stripping the meat off of the joint and basically holds out a platter.
If you're hungry, have some. I'm not going to be accused of denying people a meal.
Ooh, don't mind if I do. And I go over to quickly snatch a piece for myself.
As will I. You do not say no to gifts like that.
Zions feeds himself as well.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'll take a little bite.
How does it taste?
It's nice, it's fresh and juicy. It's not been cooked over long. It has a certain char to it from where it fell into the fuel that was cooking it, but it doesn't spoil the taste by any means. If you've taken any damage, you can recover one injury. Now, York looks at the four of you, pulling his hood back a little. You can see at this point that the Darv's face is glittering. The small puncture wounds in his skin betray his dialectic as being of the Adamus, and he is going through some physiological changes, as some individuals in the world below do. Not only is his beard streaked with iron, his face is studded with small jewels. He assesses all of you.
I don't believe you're any threat. Any threat to us, or anyone else around if you're afraid of bugs. So we've explained what we're looking for. The big fellow over there, nodding at Zion, says it's none of our business why you're here, and I'm not going to begrudge you that. But if you're telling us that straight up is where we might find what we're looking for, we might be able to help you if you tell us what you're looking for.
Zion's is cautious, clearly looking to the rest of you for approval before unfurling the map or anything like that.
Seeing as how they seem to be a hospitable lot who seems friendly, I nod to Science, looking, of course, at the others as well.
Fine. Zion's extracts the map that he has been making as you've been travelling and places it out within view of all. We do not know exactly where it is that we are heading, except that we have been told that a long sealed-off temple is somewhere in the vicinity. This is where I believe we have trekked so far and where I think we have gone off the track. If you can direct us back to where we need to be, we would appreciate it. A temple, you say? Sharina speaks up now. Well, if it has been long sealed off, it is the kind of place you do not wish to delve within. These kinds of holy sites were sealed for a reason, either by chaos or by the people who lived down here. Lived here before your people did. She gives a look over to Trillin. While you are not of the same culture, Chilzil and the Apricians are both indigenous peoples, who undoubtedly over the generations have come into conflict, probably more often than you come into conflict with the descendants of the Great Exodus, people like Luck and Kiva, Hobgobs and Tissians and such. But there is an affinity between the Apricians and Chilzil, given that you are the last great cultures of the before time.
It is not for us to say where they can and cannot go. The world below is open to all. Despite historic enmities and warnings, if where you are set is to get to this temple, I cannot tell you where it is. But I can tell you where you are. Let's see.
So York starts examining the map, and begrudgingly, Sharina does the same thing. As a hunter, it will no doubt help to have her expertise. Pox is examining the helmet that you procured in the previous cave, Luck. Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, I reckon it is. I'm not entirely sure what it is yet. I haven't had much time to look at it, but it is an interesting thing. Why? Do you think it has some value, friend?
Oh, I think it does. The quartz embedded in it would grant no material benefit against a mace or hammer or blade striking down at your head. But there is something about the quartz that glistens. There's an energy inside it. Not what I would call chaos, but something I would consider elemental. I expect this helmet would protect you from some element. Without putting it to the test, though, I couldn't confirm exactly which. Would you like to wear it and put your hand in the fire?
Well, I suppose the worst that could happen is it's a terribly cursed item, and I turn into some sort of horrific monster, right?
Well, what's life but to be lived, friend?
That's true. Go on, then, and I shall bravely put the helmet on.
Well, it doesn't immediately turn you into a slug or some other cursed creature, nor can you feel the immediate benefit from it.
Does it seem as if it would deter from my usual stealthy activities in some way?
No, well, only in the sense that it's glistening with quartz. If you wore a hood over the top of it, which you could do, It would be a pretty ostentatious hood, but you could make that hood blend in with your surroundings, whereas it would be very difficult to get a piece of headgear like this to pose as camouflage, unless you are in a cave of quartz.
Understood. Well, I do have a hood, so for now I can pull it up and we can see. Maybe it will help me out, maybe it won't. And I say, well, how do I look? Dashing?
Oh, I think you look every part the wandering silhouette.
Oh, thank you, Pox. You see, this is what I was telling you two. People from Mudtown, you can always find a friend in Mudtown.
Well, both of us have travelled far, friend. Both of us have travelled deep to get this far.
Well, you know how it is. Mudtown is lovely, but it's a bit light on opportunity and treasure.
Oh,
Sometimes.
You think so? Well, I suppose it is close to the surface. I rarely venture back skyward, but I do hope to see it again at some point before I die.
Yes, well, yes, home sweet home and all that. But for now, we're on to glory, as we said, and hopefully, do you lot know where we could be going?
York speaks up.
I've found where you are supposed to be. I've made a mark on your map there. Added a little bit of detail for your friend Zions here. I think this will probably help you on your way. There's lots of routes out of this particular cave, friends. But I think that...
He points to a triangular alcove. It narrows the closer you get to the top. There's a crack running down from the ceiling to where it meets in the middle.
I think that's going to take you back on the path you want to walk.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
We must do some climbing. Our bellies are full. If this tomb we've been sent to liberate the contents of is above us, we need to get to work. Maybe we'll cross paths again, as we will have to head down to get where we're going after we get what we want, and I'm guessing you're going to have to head back up. So if our paths intersect, maybe we will have a dance.
Oh, well, that would be lovely. Here's to dancing, riches, and good fortune for everyone.
And I have 3 sets of ore map figures and gems, so if anyone fancies a game, says Dancing to the Doom, I would be delighted to train you, to introduce you, or if any of you are skilled, I will play against you with all of my ability. You have heard of ore map before. It is, in fact, some of you may have even played it. It's a very popular game throughout the world below, especially in settlements along the Ferrous Road. That entails essentially a little bit like digging sand in a cross grid that you make. You bury gems in it and bury traps in it as well. It's a small sort of travelling game, but it gets highly competitive.
Yes. Yeah. If our paths cross again, I think that would be lovely. A little respite from travels and such.
And maybe I could convince you to chip off a little bit of that chaos rock to bury in the ore map to make it interesting.
Maybe.
Well, I'll let you think on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not wise to jump into, decisions.
That chaos rock does look like it is weighing you down a little, Kiva. You should probably use it as soon as you need it.
What's a good chaosist who doesn't use their chaos rocks, right?
Exactly. You don't want to be one of these adventurers that goes around lugging a dozen potions and thinking, oh, I'd better not use one in case I don't find another one for another day or so. As an alchemist, I can tell you, I hate that kind of storage waste. If you have potions, she leans in, you really ought drink them, even if you don't need to. Anyway, they start shifting.
Yes. Thank you so much for the hospitality. Fair travels and best of luck.
Bid you goodbye and safe travels.
You get a firm handshake, Trillin, from York, and then similar from Chirina, except it's a tentacle rather than a hand. And then you are on your way once more. Stomachs full, nicely rested, and venturing on.
Well, you see, Zion, things are looking skyward already.
Yes, well, I think we were right to be cautious, but I do believe that they were being honest with us. Though I noticed none of them were wearing the Templar sigil.
That is interesting, isn't it? Well, they did seem a friendly sort, and it is better to be friends than enemies. The world below is dangerous enough as it is. How common is that, actually, I don't know how much traveling I have done, but is it common to come across people who are generally friendly, or are there lots of, bandits or other folks who prey upon travelers down here?
People tend to be friendly, and there's a good reason for it. The scarcity and the risks of survival in the world below are such that bandits are not tolerated for long unless they are literal armies. And there are a couple that rove around dispatching raiding groups and such, but the vast majority of travellers, explorers such as yourselves, either maintain a cool distance, not wanting to interfere with each other, or share valuable information, or they are helpful, because you never know when you might need help down the road. The season in which you explore is when pretty much every exploring party ventures out. Given that there is a relative lack of real estate in the world below, and there are only a few tunnels that are reliably mapped in each stratum, crossing paths with other adventurous types is not rare. But yeah, that doesn't mean you're going to have a pleasant exchange. It just means you may cross paths and not even say a word. Often the thing that binds you is desperation or common origins, such as both Pox and Luck being from Mudtown, or Dancing to the Doom and Kiva each being Makiru.
That makes a lot of sense, given the world that we find ourselves in. Well, good to not be disappointed then. Good that we found others who are friendly. I suppose we had better continue to act in that way, provided we don't come across any more of those Ferndina. They were not very nice.
No, the question of cultists is a different one entirely, but hopefully you won't encounter many more of them. As you depart the cave and Zion starts navigation again, you are gratified to see that you're not in the dark like you were before. This is not a pitch black area. This is a place lit quite well with glowing minerals and ores. You can only wonder what kind of rocks, what kind of elements are present here to exude a bright enough hue to leave little room for shadows. But you're not here on a mining expedition. That'll be some other party somewhere else in the world below right now. You are here to find your path, and Zion seems pretty confident that you'll be able to locate it. Indeed, it's only another hour's journey without encountering anything else hostile beyond the occasional patch of razor wings and crawling, devouring grubs that Zion can easily scatter himself, that you get to a point that was marked on the Quero's map. He named this place the Wailing Chasm, and as you arrive, you can tell immediately why that is. The chasm stretches before you a good 40, 50 feet, far too wide for you to cross with any ease. There is no bridge spanning it. There are no vines that you can use to swing across. It is a gulf of emptiness. From beneath, the chasm does wail. It screams, it moans, it shouts. Cartographers and explorers such as yourselves may put such phenomena down to the vagaries of chaos, wind being channeled through narrow fissures, that kind of thing. But those screams sound sapient. It isn't just mindless sound waves being bombarded and bounced off of walls and ceilings. You're sure you can occasionally hear the word help, or the word please, or the word no, just reaching you from down beneath. Zyans rolls the map up, tucks it back in the tube. We descend here.
Sorry?
This is where Laquoro said that the temple would be found, at the foot of this chasm. There is a tunnel that leads from it, and that is exactly where this temple will be. We just need to drop down.
How exactly are we going to be dropping down? It seems like quite a long way down.
It does. But the wind that is spitting its way upward will slow our descent. Plus, we have rope, and I'm sure we are equipped with no shortage of chaos-born gifts. The world below provides, my friends. We will be able to scale a simple wall. Do not think of it as a epic chasm that devours everyone who falls into it, that descending will rob you of all hope and life. That is a foolish idea. Think of it just as a wall that needs to be climbed. We have climbed walls before.
We have indeed.
I lean over, perk my ears up a little. I'm trying to catch all these noises on the wind. Surely I can determine, well, what they actually are. I'm pretty good at hearing. It's just the wind? It must be.
Well, you can make a survival and cunning roll, Craig, to see how well you can determine the origin of these sounds. I'm going to impose a minor complication, however. If you do not buy it off, you will effectively be dazed by exposing yourself fully to this sonic assault.
That's not too bad. I do have 5 dice to roll, and if I do get a hit, keen senses, I have 2 in that, so I can get additional 2 hits. 2 enhancements, rather.
That's true, so your enhancements could be used to buy off the complication and then some.
Ah. So, I got exactly 1 hit, but with the keen senses, that would then be 3 hits.
That's right. So not only are you able to listen and think you can determine the source, you are also able to nix the complication. The voices are far too clear to be anything but authentic. Whether they actually come from people is another matter, but they are not just sentient, lacking wind noises. They are being spat out by people or spirits or a creature that can emulate voices. That's, as you got an additional hit, after paying off the complication, I will narrow it down further. With your keen senses, you're pretty certain all of those voices are emerging from the same place, and it isn't from the very bottom of the chasm. You think it's emerging from probably a cave in the chasm wall. Obviously, it's on your side of the chasm. There is probably a creature or a lot of people trapped in a cave calling out for help.
I lean over, looking into the dark, wrinkling my nose. I squint a little. I do have extrasensory perception. It's mainly good for working out if something, well, is hostile nearby or following you. But maybe I'll wait a little. I say to the others, let's maybe head down somewhere not too close to some of those sounds, because I have a funny suspicion it might be something dangerous.
Huh. Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Well, as you say, but if they are people in need of saving, we should not just abandon them to whatever fate awaits them. What if an onslaught of Hemexi have them caught in a web or something of that ilk?
Well, let's begin the descent, and then we can make an assessment when we get a little closer, but let's just not stumble into it, is what I'm saying.
Fine.
That makes sense. It could be something that is using those voices to attract us. Have learned that, well, we help each other down here, right? So, asking for help, that would be a good way to catch people trying to help. But as you say, Science, perhaps it's actually people who need help. Oh, I don't know. Let's see when we get closer, I guess.
I'll lead the path. I'm probably the best climber among us. I will find the safest footholds. It may take me some time, so get comfortable.
I nod.
Zions finds a sturdy enough stalactite on the top of the ledge and loops his rope around it before he begins his descent. He calls up just as he rappels over the edge. My rope will not reach the very bottom. There will have to come a point where we are free climbing. So just be aware. Make sure you are set and ready to tackle the earth with your hands and feet. And off he goes. Down. He's not out of sight. You described it as dark earlier, Craig, but while there is a shadow to the place, the minerals in this part of the world below are so rich, so vivid, that the chasm actually gives off an alarming diversity of hues. It makes it difficult to see the bottom, certainly. There's a mist down there, as often accumulates in chasms of this size, but it isn't by any means pitch black. So you can see Zion's descent, you can follow it, track it, pretty easily. And, of course, by focusing on him, as is often the case, like when you look up in our world and focus on a star, you start seeing it more clearly, even despite it being astronomical distances away. You can see his immediate surroundings as well. You can penetrate that mist that's down there. The more you look, the clearer things become. And you can see that cave, the cave you identified with your ears. He isn't passing directly over it or anything like that. He's followed your instructions. He is a good 20 feet along from it, so if there was something in there that wanted to grab him, it would need a damn long leg to do so.
I suppose I'll sit and just keep watching it, perking my ears up, and I'll look to Seaver and say, "Looking forward to a climb?"
Oh, sure. I mean, you know me. I'm pretty good at climbing. That's and I kind of spread my claws. It's a thing I'm decent at. It's the voices. It's the shouts. It's the the everything that I'm not like super looking forward to, if I'm being honest. What about you?
Oh, nothing like a good climb to get the spirits up. And as I say that again, I just perk my ears. Do they still sound exactly the same? Are the helps and yells changing in pitch and tone? Do I detect actual voices, perhaps?
You don't detect any voices in the style of conversation, no. The cries change. There's a wide variety of tones, of ages, of cultures that you're able to pick up. You listen to them long enough that you recognize some of the voices after a while. Not the sense that you knew them before, but this person shouting, "Help!" is also the person shouting, "Please!" And then you get another voice later on, who then reoccurs a couple of minutes later. If it is the case that they are truly trapped in there, they have a lot of energy to keep shouting like this, sure. But they aren't all just repeating the same thing over and over again. Within the parameters, it should be said, of asking for help. They aren't doing anything beyond that.
What's the chaos level like in this area?
Oh, it is high. You can sense it on your bristles, Kiva. Your Chaos Rock seems to be enjoying it as well. It's got a glow to it.
What is the likelihood that these voices are caused by chaos? Or it's some sort of chaos magic creating these voices?
It could be an extant chaotic retaliation that's just never moved on. Essentially like a burst of chaos energy that has just remained fixed here. Equally, it could be a portal that chaos has created that leads to a prison or is just channeling voices and nothing else. Such things have been known. So you can add that to the list of possibilities. But it's really up to you whether you want to investigate it in person. You can be assured, based on Luck's detection, that it is emerging from that cave. Whatever it is. Zions disappears past the cave now. The rope has run out. He is now free climbing. He has no way of signalling to you that he's reached the bottom, aside from the fact that he's out of sight. But each step of the way, as he has climbed down, he has marked the wall. As long as you keep looking down, you'll be able to see the places he has marked in chalk, thick chalk, where you should put your feet and handholds. So as long as you follow his instructions, you will gain an enhancement to your climbing attempt. But now is the time when you must do that. Which of you wishes to head down after Zions?
I think I would actually go. There's a lot of chaos, and what I'd like to do is, as I'm passing by the cave, is kind of try and I know I won't be able to peer in because I'm like 20 feet away, but I'm looking for like some sort of, like if I get like a stronger feel of chaos, like if there's a more, if that cave is where the chaos is kind of really centered on.
Yeah. Okay. So climbing down the rope requires no roll. Mm-hmm. Do you have any sorceries that you can use that might assist you here, or any of your theses or syntheses that might help with your climbing?
Yes. I have Climber as my theses. So I remove complications imposed by climbing without gear, and I gain +1 enhancement to climb with gear, which I don't have aside from a rope, so...
No, well, there would be complications here, but yes, they are eliminated. Plus, you have the enhancement now of where Zions has marked. So, when you get to the, rough edge of the cave, you're not right next to it, as you state. I assume you're sticking to the path that Zions laid out.
Yeah, for now.
Can I ask you to make an Esoterica and Cunning roll, please?
That is... Oh, no. That's upsetting. That is 0 hits.
The Chaos Rock at your side, or on your back, starts glowing with an immense heat. It burns. It is hurting you. If you want to keep it on, you can, but you are now going to be suffering from complications when climbing.
Well, I guess I'm gonna hold on to it, because that's not... I can't let this go.
Okay. Alright, so let's make an athletics, and you can either do dexterity or might here. I don't think either of them are particularly strong suits for you.
Ooh, dexterity, actually. I'm very, very dexterous.
Well, that's alright then. But I will warn you, while you have an enhancement based on the fact that Zions has marked your path, you have a moderate complication from the Chaos Rock. If you succeed, you can still succeed without buying off the complication, so just keep that in mind.
Okay, well, does 2 hits help?
Well, 2 hits is going to help in this case because the enhancement and the additional hit is enough to buy off the moderate complication for now.
Whew.
You have now bypassed the cave. You can certainly tell that there is a flux of chaos energy inside it, probably a vortex of some kind, something immense that you would love to sample, love to see up close, but you also are cognizant of the danger of doing that and the fact that it would take you off track. So, given that you failed, moving on, can I ask one more roll of the same? The Chaos Rock is now imposing a major complication. You still have that enhancement. It is once again athletics and dexterity.
Well, that's going to be 4 hits there.
My. Okay, well, you grit your teeth, Kiva. You aren't going to give up this Chaos Rock. You are not going to let the heat disturb you. In fact, this heat is born entirely from chaotic energy. This isn't elemental fire or anything so pure. This is the equivalent of radiation, and your body, your will, your spirit is basically keeping it at bay. You aren't going to let it affect you. And you don't. As you pass a certain threshold in your descent, the screams suddenly stop.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Role-Playing, where we play the Serpent God's Fangs for The World Below. The World Below is published by Onyx Path Publishing, and you can find the link to the game in the show notes. Joining us in this series are none other than V from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Ager Sonus and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, and Graham Barey for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of an Indie Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that the world below provides.